further ado, I'd like to welcome up our first speaker. Apologies.
Heidi.
I know it's Heidi, but I don't remember your story name, and it's a cute
that's okay.
name.
Oh.
So the reason I wanted to get the paper was it's like the cutest name of a story. So I'm gonna look up Heidi. Heidi's lived in Kenwood Hills since 2003. She's a physical therapist at Mercy Hospital, and her story is titled The Great Egg Toss, or The Yolk's on You. You can see why I wanted to go back for the paper. I love that title.
There we go. Can you hear me? People have been asking me all day, what happened to you? Why are you on crutches? And all I can say is that you should see the other guy and the two that got away. That's all I can say. Anyway, my name is Heidi Welti, and I grew up on the west side of Cincinnati. Do we have any west siders here? Woohoo, west side is the best side. Okay, sorry, don't yell at me for that. But I grew up on a little dead-end street on the west side of town. And we probably had about 20 neighbors on that street, and everybody knew each other. This was the 60s and the 70s, which were a great time to grow up. And, you know, you couldn't get in trouble because you could get in trouble, but everybody was always watching out for everybody, which was a wonderful way to grow up. Then in the 90s, I moved to Finneytown, and then I was on a cul-de-sac, which is like an upscale dead-end street. So, and that was also a wonderful place. We started raising our kids there. We had about 9 houses on that street, and we knew everybody. Once again, you had potlucks sometimes together. You hung out in the cul-de-sac with your kids while they rode their bikes. And we spent Halloweens together. It was a wonderful neighborhood. But in 2003, we moved to Madeira, to the neighborhood of Kenwood Hills, and that was 2003 during the crazy real estate boom. I think it was just at the end where you bought stuff as quick as it was on the market. And we had no clue that Kenwood Hills was such a totally awesome neighborhood. But as I found out over the years, it actually is kind of like a dead-end street because there's only one way in and one way out. So, you know, neighbors walk their dogs around the circle. You know, you get to know all the dog walkers. I'm a cat person. We don't walk our cat. But there are about 140 houses in Kenwood Hills. And I remember thinking, well, I don't know how this can be a neighborhood. One thing that we have that's unique there, we have a neighborhood pool that was built at the same time that the neighborhood was built. And it's all run by volunteers. So if you have kids and they're using the pool, over time you get to know people because of that. And anyway, so I think we moved in 2003. In 2004, we attended the first Easter egg hunt. It was at McDonald's Commons. I don't know if it was the first one, but it was kind of like festival seating. It got ugly real quick. And it was awful. My kids were like 5, 3, and 1-ish, I think. So they were just toddling around, and, you know, the whistle blew, and they were run over by 7- and 8-year-olds, and they were crying, "Mommy, I didn't get an egg." So I'm like, okay, next year, I'm going to start an Easter egg hunt in our neighborhood, because in our old neighborhood in Finneytown, we had a little Easter egg hunt, and it was so much fun. People brought treats, and the one lady did the eggs. So the following year, we probably had 10 kids, including mine and the 6 neighborhood kids right next to us. And we just did it in our front yard in plastic eggs and had a lovely time. So this past year, I filled 1,000 eggs. Now, I think I must be a little Italian. I think all the food's gonna run out or something. You know, you don't want to run out. And I never would want any child to not have their chocolate bunny or their egg. So, plus I love Easter candy, and there's a little bit for me and the eggs. But now we have it in the front and backyard, and I've gotten smarter as I've gotten older. The little guys are in the front yard, and like maybe 1, 2, and 3. And, you know, once a 1-year-old gets an egg, they're like, "Ooh, look at this." You know, they don't need more than that. And then we send the other guys out into the backyard in intervals. So nobody gets run over, although they might, you know, a little bit, but not too bad. I lost my train of thought. That's all right, it'll come back. And since I know how many eggs we have, I do a head count in the beginning, so I can tell everybody you get 20 eggs or something, so everybody knows about, you know, the number of eggs they should get. So the things that can really affect us are the weather. And in the last 20 years, the only year we missed it was COVID, and everybody missed everything for COVID. But the weather in Cincinnati, as you know, can be kind of crazy and change on a dime. Normally, we don't have, if it drizzles, we still have the Easter egg hunt. And we've never missed a year because everybody can wear boots and nobody's afraid of getting that wet. But one year, it was teeming down rain, just buckets and torrents and cats and dogs and everything. And so everybody gathered in the garage, and I had decided, because my husband looked at the radar, we have to have this inside. Now, hiding several hundred eggs inside is a challenge. But we did it. We did it. And the only thing is I wouldn't let people go back into our bedrooms because I'm like, that could be a nightmare. But they were in both bathrooms and everywhere. And what was hilarious, everything went fine. The kids had a great time. And we were finding Easter eggs in the lampshades, in closets, under everything. It was, for months, we would find plastic eggs somewhere. The other times when it's been cold at Easter time, and like I said, we have it the day right before Easter. When it's been like freezing cold and everybody's in mittens, we'll have everybody come in the house, and then everybody runs outside, gets the eggs, and comes back in. So we always have a hunt no matter what. The one time, and again, sometimes it's hot outside and you're in the sun and it's blazing hot around Easter. And one year I made the executive decision to get like hollow Easter bunnies. Not the solid chocolate ones, hollow. And so we put them out like 15, 20 minutes before people get there.
Belted.
And these Easter bunnies were like mutant things. They were so sad looking. They were just collapsed on themselves and looked like Dawn of the Walking icky Easter bunny. But anyway, the kids probably took them home and ate them anyway because they're kids. One of the other traditions that we started in this Easter egg hunt is I have 4 little bunny heads. And if you find a little bunny head, that sounds gross, doesn't it? But they're plastic. They're not like, if you get a special bunny head, and I tell them all ahead of time, you come to me and you get to pick out a special prize out of the prize basket. And as my kids grew up and they kind of got too old for the Easter egg hunt, they would still help, but they would always find a special little one to maybe help them find that special prize. I won't advertise that too much. But they would find a little guy that they just thought was so cute, and it was a magical thing. And then this little guy might find the special bunny head and would come up, Miss Heidi, can I have a special prize? Of course you can. So that's always fun. And kids will be running up to me saying, are all the bunny heads found? Yes, they are. So my favorite part of the Easter egg hunt, though, and I was telling Tom about that, and that's the reason that one of the titles of this is The Yoke's on You, is the egg toss. Now, we tried a couple things over the years, like an egg roll for the kids under 4, but they're so busy eating chocolate, they don't care. But the people of discerning character like myself who love to toss raw eggs, it is so much fun, so much fun. So what you do is you line up apart from your partner and just a couple feet apart, and you start and it could be parents with kids, little kids with little kids, older kids like 12, tossing it back and forth. And each time you have a successful toss, which means it doesn't break, you take a step back. So eventually people are from one side of the yard to the other, and they're hurling eggs. I'll tell you, don't throw it overhand, underhand, so you can come underneath and catch it. But I've had people accuse me of hard boiling eggs. I'm like, oh no, this is all raw. And eventually everybody gets it, whether you get, because on wet grass or moist grass, this stuff bounces forever. I mean, it'll bounce a couple times and you're like, is that really a raw egg? Yes, they're all raw. So it's just so much fun. And eventually, like I said, whether you get it smacked in your hands or we've had like one dad hit in the head, sorry. Didn't mean to, it was my niece who did it. And I don't think I could catch it, and it went over and whacked him in the head. So now we have like buckets of water and paper towels, which it took me a couple years to figure that out too. And again, that is my favorite thing of the egg hunt every year. And even if you have little kids who maybe have not moved more than a couple feet apart and they're the ones who have the egg left, nobody picks on them and says, you should have been further apart. They're the winners. And there's such joy in being the winner of the egg toss. I have never won the egg toss, but maybe one year I will. And one year we had a fair number. I must have bought a couple 18 counts. So the teenagers finished up by throwing them at the oak tree. That was awesome because that's. But with the expense this year, we won't have extra eggs. I can tell you that. Well, that would not work out. But what I've noticed about the Easter egg hunt, I've had little kids go by the house and there's where the Easter bunny lives. I find it so much fun to have. And kids, as they get older, they still remember coming to it. And I've had teenagers talk to me about it. And well, teenagers don't usually talk, but it's a good memory for them. And the reason I keep doing it, not only do I love that egg toss, but I just love having the community, the neighborhood get together and do something for fun, and parents meet parents, moms meet moms, kids meet kids. And to me, that's one of the things that makes a neighborhood neighborhoody. And that's what brings me joy. And so my plan is to do it as many years as I can. So that is my story. And thank you.
So my couple favorite highlights and nuggets from the story. One of my favorite parts was when Heidi mentioned she lives in Kenwood Hills. The cheer that came from Indy up front here as a Kenwood Hills kid, and I'm sure egg tosser, was really fun. Great to see. And I'll be honest, I didn't realize I was introducing the Kenwood Hills Easter Bunny. I've heard about this story. I live across the street. I've heard about this. It's a legend over there. And then the last nugget I took away is the most discerning characters throw raw eggs. I mean, this is like an absolute truth that came from the story. Thank you so much, Heidi.